Oh, let me know. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are going to start our today's session. In last session, we have seen the various things about the it means the trades and the its related things, which it means the we have seen the various cities. It's like a Surat and Masulipatanam in last lecture. Their trade, then the guilds, how the guilds were worked, and how the traders were trade during that time, and the types of the traders. We have seen big traders, some small traders, the Banjaras, and from Karwas, their guilds, then some what we say, uh, trading communities, the MoneyGram and the non-desi guilds was there. Then the Chettiar, Marwadi Oswal, these people were trading during the during that time. It means they were started their trade, and trade became famous, or the it flourished during the medieval time till 1800. तो ये हमने लास्ट लेक्चर में देखा था. And the remaining part, there is only one slide of remain in the last lecture. So we'll take that slide, and then after we'll continue with a new topic or new chapter. Okay. So in last lecture, so the fishing in the troubled water, Mosulipattanam. So that slide, ये जो slide है, ये हमें देखनी बाकी रह गई थी. सिर्फ एक slide है, वो हम पहले देखेंगे, and then we'll move towards the today's session. So the let me know if this slide is visible to you. Yeah, is it visible to you? It's loading now. Just a moment. Yeah, now is it visible to you?
Yes.
Water. Yeah. So the Masulipatanam, the trade during the medieval time in the South India, or the in the Masulipatanam, it's a sea trade and inland trade also. So let's see, the towns of the Masulipatanam are they could call as a Machilipattanam, a fish port town. So what is the meaning of the Masulipatanam is fish port town, जहाँ पे मछलियाँ ज्यादा वहां पे पकड़ी जाती थी. मासे जिथं पकडले जात होते, मासे जिथं होते जास्त प्रमाणात तिथं पाहिले जात होते. So that town they call as a Machilipattanam or Masulipatanam. It's a fish port town laying on the delta of the Krishna River. It's Krishna. There is a one famous river of the South India. It's laying on the delta of the Krishna River. It was a center of the intense activity in the 17th century. 17व्या शतकामध्ये ज्या काही साऊथ इंडियन ट्रेडच्या संदर्भामध्ये ज्या काही घडामोडी झाल्या ड्युरिंग द 17th century, साऊथ इंडियन ट्रेड, inland trade as well as the sea trade, the center, Masulipatanam was the center of the trade, intense activity and the trade of the 17th century. So the Dutch and the English East India Company attempted to control Masulipatanam. Why they attempted to control the Masulipatanam? Because they were having the reason. Masulipatanam is the it's situated in the south direction or in South India, and the Britishers were the naval power. So therefore, they want to control the sea. So therefore, they need that port. It's facing towards the where. Can you give me the answer? It was facing towards which? It is in Arabian Sea, or it is in Bay of Bengal, or it is in Indian Ocean. Where is it? It is. Can you give me the answer? Where is Masulipatanam? It is in Arabian Sea, or it is in Bay of Bengal, or it is in Indian Ocean. Can you give me the answer? Anybody? कुठे आहे Masulipatanam situated in which sea? Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, or the Indian Ocean? It's situated in the Bay of Bengal, towards the Bay of Bengal. Just need to remember this thing. Okay, the fort of Masulipatanam built by the Dutch Qutub Shahi rulers of the Golconda imposed royal monopoly on the sale of textile. It means it was built by the Dutch. ये डच जो थे उन्होंने ये बिल्ड किया है. कुतुबशाही rulers of Golconda imposed royal monopoly on the sale of textiles, spices, and other items to prevent the trade from passing completely into the hands of the various East India companies. It means the Indian rulers जो थे उन्होंने they tried very hard. It means उन्होंने बहुत कोशिश की है कि ये यूरोपियन जो ट्रेडर्स है उनके हाथ में ना जाए. इसके लिए उन्होंने here is the name of the person Qutub Shah or the Qutub Shahi rulers. They tried to keep that trade that port in their hand. तो उन्होंने दूसरे जो यूरोपियन जो लोग थे बिकॉज ब्रिटिशर्स वेर द सी पावर. दे वर द सी पावर. तो वो समुद्र के मार्ग समुद्र से रास्ते से इंडिया में आए थे और उसकी वजह से उनको उस जो पोर्ट जो है जैसे मसूलीपट्टनम, मुंबई or other. Tamralippi is the ancient port, and then after it was captured by the Britishers in Calcutta or Bengal. So they were the naval power. Therefore, they want to control the sea, and therefore they try to take that port. This मसूलीपट्टनम के लिए भी उन्होंने ट्राई किया था, लेकिन कुतुबशाही जो रूलर्स थे उन्होंने वो प्रोटेक्ट किया है. मसूलीपट्टनम इट वाज प्रोटेक्टेड बाय विच रूलर? The Qutub Shahi ruler. It was protected by the Qutub Shahi rulers. Okay. The fierce competition among the various trading groups, the Golconda nobles, Persian merchants, Telugu Komati chettis, and the European traders made the city populous and prosperous. Because of this, they were having healthy competition about this trade. The trading competition over there. How many people are there? How many groups are there? The Golconda nobles is also there. The Persian merchants also there. Telugu Komati chettis, and the European traders. They were having the trading competition on this. ये जो पोर्ट है वहां पे वो हेल्दी ट्रेडिंग कंपटीशन हमें दिखती है. Mughals began to extend their powers to Golconda. Their representatives, the governor Mir Jumla, also a merchant, began to play off Dutch and English against each other. It means मुगल जो थे, मुगल जो उन्होंने साउथ इंडिया में अपना एक्सपांशन किया था, so they also need to control their borders. So therefore they tried to capture this port also during that time. So the Golconda, their representative, the governor Mir Jumla, began to play off the Dutch and English against each other. So that in 1686, during the Aurangzeb period, 1686 to 1687, मुगल एम्परर औरंगजेब एनेक्टेड गोलकोंडा. ये गोलकोंडा उन्होंने जब सदर्न डेक्कन के ऊपर उन्होंने जो एक्सपीडिशन स्टार्ट किया था औरंगजेब, he started expedition against the Maratha, and during that time he reached to the Golconda, and cause he annexed Golconda. उन्होंने गोलकोंडा के ऊपर एक्सपीडिशन स्टार्ट किया था, स्वारी केली होती. आणि गोलकोंडा हा जो प्रदेश आहे तो औरंगजेब याने आपल्या हातामध्ये घेतलेला आपल्याला पाहता येतो. Called the European companies to look for alternative, a part of the new policy of the East India Company or English East India Company, that it was not enough if a port had connection with the production center of the hinterland. So it was the trade policy of the Britishers also and the other rulers also. You need to spread your trade. If you need to spread your monopoly over the trade, so you need to control the hinterland. You need to control a trade center, and these ports were the centers of the trade because during that time they imported various things via sea route. सी रूट से बहुत सी चीजें वो लाते थे. वो चीजें अगर वो पोर्ट में अगर वो वहां पे उतारते हैं, वहां पे वो लेके आते हैं, तो वहां से दूसरे सेंटर्स तक लेके जाने के लिए उनको कनेक्टिंग पॉइंट जो है वो उनको चाहिए होते. तो इसके लिए भी ये ट्रेड्स इंपॉर्टेंट थे ड्यूरिंग दिस मिडिवल टाइम. और ये हमें वहां पे दिखता है कि देयर इज अ कॉम्पिटिशन. देयर वाज अ कॉम्पिटिशन कैप्चर वेरियस ट्रेड पोर्ट्स. ट्रेड पोर्ट्स ये है. मसूलीपट्टनम इट्स अ वेरी फेमस ट्रेड पोर्ट ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम, ये बहुत फेमस ट्रेड पोर्ट था मिडिवल टाइम में. द न्यू कंपनी ट्रेड सेंटर शुड कंबाइन political, administrative, and commercial roles. As the company traders moved to Bombay, Calcutta, its present-day Calcutta, Madras, its present-day Chennai, and Masulipatanam, lost both its merchants and prosperity. Its decline in the course of the 18th century. Today, uh, dilapidated little town. It means during the medieval period, when the European sea powers came to India and they captured Indian territory, during that time they want to spread their trade, and for that they need trade ports, they need connecting points or the hinterlands along with that, and therefore they there during that time वहाँ पे एक healthy competition हमें दिखती थी कि ट्रेड किसके पास जाएगी और कौन ट्रेड के ऊपर अपनी मोनोपोली बनाएगा. So in between that, French, British, and the Dutch, they were having their supremacy over this ट्रेड पोर्ट. तो ये हमें दिखता है. मसूलीपट्टनम उसमें से एक बहुत बड़ा ट्रेड पोर्ट हमें दिखता है कि जिसके जिसके ऊपर कंट्रोल करने के लिए लोगों के ऊपर बीच में एक कंपटीशन हमें दिखती है ड्यूरिंग द मिडिवल पीरियड. So the new towns and traders during the 16th and 17th century, during these centuries, 16th and 17th century में European countries they were searching for spices and textiles. The European countries जो थी, they came to India in search of spices and the textile. India was the great exporter of the cotton during the medieval period. It was a great exporter, it's huge exporter. इंडिया में जो कॉटन तैयार होता था या उसके साथ जो टेक्सटाइल जो इंडस्ट्री थी इंडिया की, वो वर्ल्ड में सबसे बड़ी इंडस्ट्री हमें दिखाई देती है बिफोर ब्रिटिशर्स केम टू इंडिया. जब तक ब्रिटिशर्स इंडिया में नहीं आ रहे तब तक इंडियन ट्रेड जो है वो फ्लरिश ट्रेड था. तो हियर सर्चिंग फॉर स्पाइसेस एंड टेक्सटाइल्स popular both in Europe and the West Asia. English, Dutch, French, they formed East India companies to expand their commercial activities in the East. ये जो है ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनीज और जो फ्रेंच हो, डच हो, ये जो है ब्रिटिश हो, ये सब लोग अपने कमर्शियल एक्टिविटीज, अपना ट्रेड बढ़ाने के लिए उन्होंने उन्हें ट्रेड सेंटर्स जो थे वो उन्हें चाहिए थे. इनिशियली द ग्रेट इंडियन ट्रेडर्स लाइक मुल्ला अब्दुल गफूर and Virji Vora, who own a large number of ships, compete compete with them. It means इंडिया में भी ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम जैसे ब्रिटिश ट्रेडर्स यहाँ पे आते थे, वैसे ही इंडियन ट्रेडर्स कुछ लोग थे जो ओवरसीज ट्रेड करते थे. उसमें ये दो नाम हमें यहाँ पे दिखते हैं, मुल्ला अब्दुल गफार एंड वीरजी होरा. वीरजी होरा और ये अब्दुल गफार जो है, मुल्ला अब्दुल गफार, ये दोनों लोग ओवरसीज ट्रेड के लिए फेमस थे. ये इंडियन थे और दे वर compete with the यूरोपियन ट्रेड. यूरोपियन ट्रेड के साथ वो compete करते थे. तो it means what kind of the goods जो सेल करते थे, and along with that items इसमें including जो थे वो ये लोग सेल करते थे. So these people were famous for their trade during the 16th and 17th century. However, the European companies used their naval power to gain control of the sea trade, forced Indian traders to work as their agents. So when they came to India, when the Europeans came to India, so there is one famous concept. This deindustrialization was happened. जब वो इंडिया में आए, ब्रिटिशर्स जो इंडिया में आए, उनको दे रियलाइज दैट if you want to sustain over here, if you want to stand over here, we need to abolish Indian industry. क्योंकि क्या था कि इंडियन इंडस्ट्री जो थी उनकी क्वालिटी जो थी, इंडियन हैंडीक्राफ्ट जो है, इंडियन जो कमोडिटीज जो बनाई जाती थी इंडिया में, वो उनकी क्वालिटी जो थी उसके लिए वो वर्ल्ड वाइड जाने जाते थे. और उसकी वजह से ये जो यूरोपियन जो लोग आ रहे थे, यूरोपियन ट्रेडर्स जो आ रहे थे, वो उनके साथ उनकी जो कमोडिटीज थे वो लेके आए थे. लेकिन क्या होता था कि इंडियन जो कमोडिटी है उसकी क्वालिटी और यूरोपियन जो चीजें वो बेचने के लिए लाते थे उसकी क्वालिटी, उसमें बहुत बड़ा फर्क है। इंडियन जो चीजें है, इंडियन जो प्रोडक्ट है वो हायर क्वालिटी की थी, और उसकी वजह से इस यूरोपियन जो भी कुछ प्रोडक्ट है वो इंडियन प्रोडक्ट के आगे टिक नहीं पाते। तो therefore they say that English European companies use their naval power to gain control of the sea trade, force Indian traders to work as their agent, क्योंकि उन्होंने उनको अपना एजेंट बनाने की कोशिश की, क्योंकि अगर वो इंडियन ट्रेड से डायरेक्टली कम्पीट नहीं कर सकते, यूरोपियन जो थे वो इंडियन ट्रेड से डायरेक्टली कम्पीट नहीं कर सकते थे क्योंकि उनकी क्वालिटी उतनी अच्छी नहीं थी। तो उसकी वजह से उन्होंने जो इंडियन ट्रेडर्स जो थे उनको टारगेट करना शुरू किया, और उन्होंने इंडियन ट्रेडर्स से अपना, मतलब जो कुछ इंडियन ट्रेडर्स जो माल बेचने वाले थे वो उनके बिहाफ बेचे। ये अगर आप इंग्लैंड में आ रहे हो तो आपको हम इतने परसेंट टैक्स में रिलैक्सेशन देंगे, आप हमारी तरफ से इंडिया इंग्लैंड में जाके माल बेचो, या आप ये जो माल है आप खुद बेचने जा रहे हो तो वो माल आप हमें बेचो, हम इंग्लैंड में जाके वो बेचेंगे। लाइक दैट उनके बीच ये एग्रीमेंट कर, तो ये एग्रीमेंट ब्रिटेन के जो ट्रेडर्स थे वो और इंडियन ट्रेडर्स जो थे उनमें हो रहे थे। दे चेंज ट्रेड सिस्टम, ब्रिटेन जो थे, ब्रिटेन के जो ट्रेडर्स थे उन्होंने ये ट्रेड सिस्टम ही चेंज किया। जैसे पहले इंडियन ट्रेडर्स खुद जाके ब्रिटेन में माल बेचते थे, अभी वो सिस्टम उन्होंने बंद कर दी। उन्होंने कहा आप हमें बेचो या आप ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ अस आप बेच सकते हो। ओके, आप बेचोगे लेकिन नाम हमारा होगा, आपको पैसे मिलेंगे लेकिन हमारा नाम वहां पे आएगा। ऐसी सिस्टम उन्होंने यहाँ पे, मतलब यूरोपियन ट्रेड में उन्होंने स्टार्ट की बाय ब्रिटिश और द यूरोपियन ट्रेड। इंग्लिश इमर्ज एज द मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल कमर्शियल एंड पॉलिटिकल पावर इन द सबकॉन्टिनेंट, spurred super demand in the for goods like a textile, led to the great expansion of the craft of spinning, weaving, bleaching, dyeing, etc. And more people taking them up. मतलब इंडियन टेक्सटाइल जो थी वो फ्लरिश हो रही थी। इंडियन टेक्सटाइल जो थी उसके लिए एक एग्जांपल है इन बिपिन चंद्रा का जो मॉडर्न इंडिया का एनसीईआरटी है, ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी, उसमें उन्होंने एक एग्जांपल दिया था। ड्यूरिंग 1805 जो इंडिया से ब्रिटेन को जो क्लोथ या टेक्सटाइल जो कॉटन क्लोथ जो थे वो एक्सपोर्ट हो रहे थे, तो उसकी वजह से ब्रिटेन की जो वेल्थ है वो इंडिया में ज्यादा आ रही है। वेल्थ मतलब उनका जो गोल्ड है वो इंडिया में आ रहा था, क्योंकि ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम दे वर यूजिंग गोल्ड फॉर द ट्रेड। तो वो जो गोल्ड था वो इंडिया में सबसे ज्यादा आ रहा था। इसकी वजह से ब्रिटेन की जो पार्लियामेंट है उन्होंने ब्रिटेन में एक न्यू लॉ वहां पे पास करके लिया था कि जो कोई भी पर्सन इंडियन क्लोथ यूज करेंगे तो उनके ऊपर उनको पनिशमेंट की जाए। पनिशमेंट क्या होगी, तो उनको फाइन भरना पड़ेगा। अगर आप एक कॉटन का हैंकरचीफ या रुमाल अगर यूज कर रहे हो तो उसके लिए फाइन होगा अलग से, मतलब 10 पाउंड से 100 पाउंड तक आपको फाइन भरना पड़ेगा। अगर आप लग्जरियस कपड़े, अगर इंडिया से जो एक्सपोर्ट होने वाले लग्जरियस कपड़े अगर आप ब्रिटेन में यूज कर रहे होंगे तो उसके लिए 100 पाउंड तक आपको फाइन भरना पड़ेगा। ये रूल ब्रिटेन की पार्लियामेंट ने पास करके लिया था। इट वॉज अगेंस्ट द इंडियन ट्रेड सिस्टम। ये हमें सिर्फ ये जाते जाते हम ये आपको ये मालूम होना चाहिए, इस वजह से हम ये बता रहे हैं। तो इंग्लिश इमर्ज एज द मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल कमर्शियल एंड पॉलिटिकल पावर इन द सबकॉन्टिनेंट, support demand for good, for in demand for goods like a textile, led a great expansion of the craft of shipping, weaving, bleaching, dyeing, etc. More and more people taking them up. ब्रिटेन जो था वो बिकॉज ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन, इट वाज हैपन ड्यूरिंग 1705, ये जो हुआ था इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन के बाद, ये ब्रिटेन emerged as a superpower of the world. Indian textile design became increasingly refined. This period also saw the decline of the independence of the craft person began to work on a system of advance. They had to build clothes with which was already promised to European traders. Weavers no longer had the liberty of selling their own clothes or weaving their own patterns, had to reproduce the designs supplied to them by the company. It means the Britain के जो भी agents जो थे, Britain के जो भी traders थे, now they became a powerful. They now the political control in the hand of Britain. Britain के hand हाथ में political control आ गया था. And then after they started their own policy, which is against the Indian trade, which is against the Indian. ऐसे that जैसे हमने वो ब्रिटेन पार्लियामेंट का जो एग्जांपल अभी दिया था, ऐसे ही बहुत से ऐसी चीजें जो थी वो ब्रिटेन पार्लियामेंट एंड ब्रिटेन के जो ट्रेडर्स थे वो इंडिया में इंप्लीमेंट कर रहे थे, बिकॉज इंडियंस वेयर दे रिड्यूस द एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ इंडियन क्लोथ. इंडियन क्लोथ जो था उसकी एक्सपोर्ट जो ब्रिटेन में हो रही थी वो एक्सपोर्ट उन्होंने कम कर दिया, एंड जो भी एक्सपोर्ट हो रही थी उसके ऊपर उन्होंने हेवी टैक्सेशन वहां पे अप्लाई किए उसके ऊपर. तो उसकी वजह से इंडियन जो क्लोथ था उसकी डिमांड जो थी ब्रिटेन में कम होने लगी, क्योंकि उसकी कॉस्ट बढ़ गई. उसके ऊपर अगर टैक्सेशन ज्यादा टैक्स ज्यादा होगा तो उसकी कॉस्ट अल्टीमेटली बढ़ गई. उसकी वजह से इंडियन क्लोथ जो थे उसकी डिमांड ब्रिटेन में कम हो गई, एंड जो ब्रिटेन के क्लोथ जो थे वो मशीन्स के ऊपर बनाए जाते थे. वो क्लोथ की डिमांड अभी बढ़ने लगी क्योंकि वो मशीन के ऊपर बनाए जाते थे, उसकी वजह से कॉस्ट कटिंग उसमें ज्यादा था और उसकी वजह से वो चीपर रेट पे अवेलेबल. तो देयर दे मेंशन इन दिस वन पैरा कि how they implemented the British policy and how they demolished Indian industry. So it is that. Then during the 18th century saw the rise of Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, nodal cities. It means these cities were emerged as a trade centers, as a trade points, and they emerged as a urban center. Madras, Calcutta, and Bombay. They emerged as a capitals, as a center point. The craft and commerce underwent major changes. Merchants and artisans, such as the weavers, were moved into the black towns established by the European companies within these new. The Britishers were having their policies and they implemented their policies very effectively, and they used that things, their policies to dominate Indian people, to dominate Indian trade. So the black or native traders and craftspersons were confined here while the white rulers occupied the superior residence of the Fort St. George in Madras or Fort St. William in Calcutta. So now they started their policy towards the divide and rule. And it means the dividation on the basis of color, caste, creed started now. It's instead of caste, but the color, white and black. Their policy is there. Britishers की जो policy थी, divide and rule, they used that policy to control the India. So this is the chapter number 6 we have completed. Now we are moving towards the chapter number 7. So what is the name of tribes, nomads, and settled communities in India? Tribes, nomads, and settled communities. What is what do you know about these things? What do you understand from this word, from the tribes, from the nomads, and the settled communities? What do you understand from this word? आप इससे क्या समझ रहे हो? आपको क्या? Can you explain anything about this? What do you understand from this word, tribes, nomads, and the settled communities? What is the meaning of the tribe? Can anybody tell me? What is the meaning of tribe? Anyone? कोई भी बता सकता है? Tribe मतलब क्या है? What is mean by tribe? Tribe, it's very simple. No? Can you give me the definition? Or whatever you know about that. What is mean by tribe? What is mean by nomads? And what is mean by settled community? Settled community means those people who settle down nowadays, or those people were having their own homes, those people were having their own identity and their own whatever they, wherever they're staying, they have their own identity. उनकी एक खुद की पहचान है. ट्राइब्स जो है वो है जो हम जिसे कहते हैं तो द ओरिजिनल inhabitants or original residents of this land. इस इंडिया में या कहीं पे भी वो जहाँ पे रहते हैं, देवर वो वहाँ पे बहुत से दिनों से नहीं, बहुत सी सदियों से वहाँ पे रहते हैं. देवर हैविंग देयर ओन culture, identity, their own way of living, their culture, their clothes, their language, their religion, whatever. So it came under the tribe. Nomads means those people were traveling all over because they were not settled people. ट्राइब जो है वो स्पेसिफिक रीजन में हमें दिखते हैं. नोमैड्स जो है वो एक रीजन से दूसरी जगह पे जाते हैं. जैसे हमने लास्ट सेशन में हमने देखा था कि बंजारा they came under the nomad. Banjara, they were traveling from one place to another place. They were not staying. एक जगह पे वो नहीं रहते. तो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह से तीसरी जगह ऐसे जाते हैं, घूमते हैं. एंड दे वर व्हाई दे वर ट्रैवलिंग ओवर देयर, ऐसे क्यों घूम रहे हैं वो? इन सर्च ऑफ द न्यू, जो भी उनको चाहिए खाना पीना जो है उसके लिए वो घूम रहे हैं. काम करने के लिए वो घूम रहे हैं. काम मतलब उनके लिए एक जगह कोई नहीं है. दे डोंट हैव लैंड, देयर ओन लैंड. So therefore, they were traveling all over the. Okay, let's see. So the big cities, tribal societies. So let's see beyond big cities and tribal societies, how the tribals came to India, and after that, so ये एक हम ये कह सकते हैं कि there is one what we say theory about the how we became settled. हम एक जगह कैसे, मतलब एक कल्चर हम कैसे स्टैब्लिश कर सकते हैं, कैसे हमने वो कल्चर स्टैब्लिश किया है. रिगार्डिंग टू दैट देयर इज वन थियरी. वी स्टार्टेड आवर लाइफ एज अ ट्राइब, देन वी मूव फ्रॉम one place to another place in search of food, in search of water, in search of the needs, and then we became a nomad. And when we settle down, it means when we fulfill our needs, when we receive, अब हमें अपनी जो भी नीड्स थी, जो भी खाना है या पानी है, जहाँ पे हमें मिला वहां पे हम सेटल हुए. देन आफ्टर वी स्टार्टेड आवर स्टेबल लाइफ. सो दैट इज द सीक्वेंस ऑफ द सेटलमेंट इन इंडिया. जो इंडियन सेटलमेंट कहीं पे भी हम देख सकते हैं, नॉट इंडिया बट ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, ये सेटलमेंट का पैटर्न हमें दिखता है. Earlier they were the tribe, then after they move towards the, in search of the needs, they move from one place to another place, and when they fulfill their needs, at that time they settle down over there and they establish their culture over there. So it is visible in Indus Valley civilization also. It is visible in the Aryan civilization. Aryan civilization, earlier they were the tribes. They became nomad when they were traveled. It means they वो from north east, sorry north middle east से इंडिया की तरफ आ रहे हैं या यूरोप से इंडिया की तरफ वो आ रहे हैं. During that time they were the nomads, and when they settled down in the Ganga and Yamuna basin, or the Doab, or the Ganga plain, यहाँ पे वो आके वो settle हो रहे हैं. So now they became a civilized people, or the Aryan civilization. We call as the Aryan civilization. So these things were the part of the development of the Indian culture or the human culture. Let's see beyond big cities, tribal societies. Let's see the other points of these cities and societies. Societies in the subcontinent. What is mean by society? Not follow the social rules, nor rituals prescribed by the Brahmins, not divided into numerous unequal classes, is called as a tribe. What is mean by tribe? They discuss over here. What is mean by the tribe? So societies in a subcontinent, they were not follow social rules. They don't have any social rules because they were live in a natural environment. Nor ritual prescribed by the Brahmins. There was no any class system, caste system, no any rituals. So therefore, there were no any rules. Not divided into numerous unequal classes called tribes. So all classes or the all peoples were equal. When we saw the Rigvedic sources, according to Rigveda, there are four classes or the four varnas. First one is the Brahmin, second one is the Kshatriya, third one is the Vaishya, and fourth one is Shudra. According to the Brahminical religion or the Brahminical text, the Rig Veda. But here they say that they don't have any text, they don't have any rules. They were the natural. It means they love nature, and they live in a natural condition. नेचुरल कंडीशन जो है, इक्वल बिहेवियर जो है, वो हम यूज कर रहे हैं. देन देयर दीज पीपल, उनके लिए वो क्या कहते हैं, दे वर द ट्राइब्स. ये जो ट्राइब्स है वो नेचुरल जो लाइफ है वो जी रहे हैं. दूसरे, उनके कोई रूल्स नहीं है, उनके कुछ रिचुअल्स नहीं है, उनके लिए कोई ऐसा टेक्स्ट नहीं है कि जो उनके लाइफस्टाइल को ये कर सकते हैं, डिकोड कर सकता है. नथिंग इज दैट. So they were the tribes. They used natural lifestyle. Members of each tribe united by kinship bonds. Kinship bonds जो है उनके साथ वो एक साथ आते, मतलब they were believed who will protect us, will follow their rules. So the tribes obtained their livelihood from agriculture. They were using natural food, agriculture. Some were hunter gatherers or herders. It means the people, they were mixed vegetarian, they were using veg, they were also hunting the animal, they were using that also. They combined these activities to make full use of the natural resources of the area in which they lived. Some were nomadic and moved from one place to another. So the first stage is the tribal stage. Then once you fulfill your demand, so you, or for the fulfill your demand, for in search of your demand, fulfill your demand, you are moving outside of that tribe. Then you become a what? Hunter and gatherer. And now that phase they call as a nomadic phase. अब अपनी जो जरूरतें है वो फुलफिल करने के लिए उस ट्राइब से अगर आप बाहर जाके कुछ चीजें ढूंढ रहे हो, तो उससे आप शिकार कर रहे हो या कुछ भी कर रहे हो, तो वो फेज हमें नोमैडिक लाइफ में लेके जाती है, और वो they call as a nomad. So first we understand the tribe, then we are going to understand that nomad. Who are the nomad? Okay. Then tribal group control land and pastures jointly and divided this among its household according to its own rules. It means they don't have any rules. They themselves make a rule. उन्होंने उनके लिए खुद से रूल्स बनाए हैं, उनके लिए किसी ने बाहर से रूल्स नहीं बनाए, उनके अकॉर्डिंग उन्होंने रूल्स बनाए. द ट्राइबल पीपल दे मेड देयर रूल्स देयर ओन. मेनी लार्ज ट्राइब्स live in different parts of the subcontinent, live in a forest. Where they live, the tribes were live in a forest, hills, deserts, and places difficult to reach. It means they isolated themselves from the common people or from the others. They call themselves as a tribe. So many large tribes live different parts of the subcontinent. It means they isolated themselves from the others. उनको खुद को वो दूसरों से अलग रखते थे, क्योंकि दूसरों का इंटरफेयर उनको पसंद नहीं था. उनके खुद के कुछ रूल्स थे जो उन्होंने खुद ने बनाए. उनके ऊपर किसी दूसरे ने रूल्स नहीं किए हैं. उनके मतलब जैसे हमें यहाँ पे दिखते हैं कि ब्राह्मण्स in a normal Aryan community, Brahmins make some rules, and the common people have to follow those according to Rig Veda, Sam Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, Brahmanya, Aranyaka. They made some rules, and the common people were followed those. Here हमें वैसे रूल्स नहीं दिखते. ये जो खुद को उन्होंने जो खुद के लिए जो रूल्स बनाए वही हम देखते हैं. So tribe retain their freedom and preserve their separate culture. That is the important thing. They retain their freedom and preserve their separate culture. The caste-based and tribal societies also depended on each other. Caste-based and tribal societies. These two societies were based on each other for their diverse needs. They were having their needs. It means the tribes also they were having their needs, daily livelihood, जो उनके लिए जो भी खाना पीना है उनके नीड्स है, तो उनके भी नीड्स के लिए वो एक दूसरे के ऊपर डिपेंड होते हैं. ट्राइबल एंड द कास्ट बेस्ड सोसाइटी जो है वो, द रिलेशनशिप ऑफ द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एंड द डिपेंडेंस कॉज बोथ सोसाइटीज टू चेंज. एक दूसरे से इंटरेक्ट जो हो रहा है उसके बारे में आप यहाँ पे बोल सकते हैं. हु वर द ट्राइबल पीपल, वो कौन है, ट्राइबल पीपल कौन है, ये हमें समझना है यहाँ पे. हु वर द ट्राइबल पीपल. So the contemporary historians and travelers gives very scanty information about the tribes. कुछ historians हमें थोड़ी सी information देते हैं. Let's see. Tribal people did not keep written record. We have our written record. We have, it means the Indian people or the various cultures where they were having their written record on the wood, on the stone, or sometime on the copper plate. We have our written record, but these tribes, they don't have written record because they don't know the writing, they don't know the words, they don't know. They were having their own languages, but they don't know how to write. Okay, so they preserve rich customs and oral tradition. They preserve that tradition by oral. Oral tradition means they don't know writing, they don't know how to write these words. So for that, they preserve their culture through the ओरल ट्रेडिशन. एक 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 दूसरे को बताएंगे, दूसरे तीसरे को बताएंगे, और नेक्स्ट जनरेशन तक वो ओरल ट्रेडिशन से वो जो भी कस्टम्स है वो जाए. तो दे प्रिजर्व द रिच कस्टम्स एंड ओरल ट्रेडिशन were passed down to each new generation. So that thing of the subcontinent, area and influence of the tribal varied at the different points of time. तो हर ट्राइब के अलग अलग एरियाज है, हर ट्राइब के अलग अलग कस्टम्स है, हर ट्राइब के अलग अलग कल्चर. तो इट्स डिपेंड, उनका क्या है उसके ऊपर वो डिपेंड. एरिया मतलब भिल्ल, गोंड, अहोम. फ्रॉम द अहोम मीन्स फ्रॉम द असम रीजन. भिल्ल itself in Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Gond itself in Maharashtra and the southern part, in Nagpur region. So these people they're limited in that, मतलब उसी एरिया में वो लिमिटेड, वो बाहर नहीं जा रहा. The powerful tribe controlled large territories. It means in Punjab, the Khokhar tribe very influential during the 13th and 14th century. पंजाब में एक ट्राइब जो दिखती है हमें, खोखर ट्राइब. Then later the Gakhars became the more important or the chief. Gakhar, पहले खोखर आती है, then Gakhar है. Then Kamal Khan Gakhar was made a noble or the Mansabdar by Emperor Akbar in Multan and Sindh. It indicates that during the medieval time, these tribes became developed. They become developed tribes and they were having their nobles. medieval टाइम तक आते आते ये जो ट्राइब्स जो थे उनके कुछ लीडर्स हमें दिखते हैं, नोबल्स हमें दिखते हैं, जिनको यहाँ पे दिखाया गया है कि अकबर अपॉइंटेड एज अ मनसबदार, टू हुम गोखर या गखर के जो भी लीडर है कमाल खान, उनको उन्होंने मलसबदार, एम्परर अकबर ने उनको मनसबदार अपॉइंट किया है इन मुल्तान एंड सिंध रीजन, बिकॉज दे वर बिलोंग फ्रॉम द पंजाब. ओके, द लांघास एंड अर्घन्स dominated extensive regions. These two tribes also, they were subdued by the Mughals, Balochis, large, large and powerful tribes in the north. Balochistan, they were came from the Balochistan, and therefore they call it the Balochis. Balochis, they were the powerful tribes in the northwest. It was divided into many smaller clans under the different chiefs. In the western Himalaya live the spear-headed tribes of Gadhis. So these much tribes we have in India during the ancient time and also during the medieval time. So the Balochis, then the Gadhis, then the Gakhar, then Khokhar, then the Langhas and Arghouts. These types of the people, they were the tribes. They were lived in the tribes, and these peoples were the part of the Indian tribes during the medieval period. The distant northeast part of the subcontinent entirely dominated by the tribes. नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जो है वो डोमिनेटेड है पूरे ट्राइब्स, मतलब आसाम वगैरह जो रीजन है, नागालैंड, द नागा, अहोम and many others. In many areas of present day Bihar and Jharkhand. Jharkhand is the tribe, जो सबसे ज्यादा ट्राइब्स कौन से रीजन में है, झारखंड में है. तो बिहार एंड झारखंड, चेरो chiefdoms emerged by the 12th century. The Raja Man Singh, Akbar's famous general, attacked and defeated the Cheros in the 1591. तो द अकबर के ड्यूरिंग भी ये ट्राइब्स हमें दिखते हैं, और उनके हिस्ट्री से रिलेटेड इन लोगों का लाइफ हमें दिखता है कि ड्यूरिंग द अकबर रिजिम अकबर का बहुत से ट्राइब ये दिखता है, क्लैश होते हुए दिखता है अकबर, बिकॉज अकबर एक्सपांडेड मुगल टेरिटरी. So therefore, wherever he goes, wherever he went, there he came with the contact with the tribe. और वो ट्राइब से कांटेक्ट होने के बाद ये ट्राइब्स हमें, उन ट्राइब्स के नाम हमें यहाँ पे दिखते हैं कि ये ट्राइब्स ड्यूरिंग द मिडिवल पीरियड वहां पे थे, और दे वर कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटेड टू दी देयर टेरिटरी. उनके टेरिटरी के लिए, उनके खुद के जो रीजन है उनके लिए उन्होंने काम किया हुआ हमें दिखता है. सो हियर 1591 मानसिंह, the general of the Akbar, so he defeated Chero's tribe in Jharkhand. So the large amount of the booty taken from them, but were not entirely subdued. मतलब ये ट्राइब्स जो है, ये ट्राइब्स के पास वेल्थ थी, उनके उनसे बहुत सा वेल्थ जो है इस अकबर ने कलेक्ट किया हुआ हमें दिखता है, बट उनको पूरी तरह से अकबर ने खत्म नहीं किया, वो ट्राइब पूरी तरह से वो खत्म नहीं किया, हमें ऐसा दिखता है. अंडर औरंगजेब ड्यूरिंग द मिडिवल टाइम, औरंगजेब के टाइम पे भी कुछ ट्राइब्स हमें दिखता है. मुगल फोर्स कैप्चर्ड मेनी चेरो fortresses, subjugated the tribe. तो औरंगजेब उस वक्त उनसे थोड़ा क्रूअली पेश आया था, वो हमें दिखता है. द मुंडाज एंड द Santhala and the Mundas, among the other important tribes that live in the region and also in the Orissa and Bengal. Birsa Munda was the famous tribal leader who belonged from the Munda community and the Santhala community also. It means Santhal. He fought for the Santhal community. उन्होंने संथाल कम्युनिटी और मुंडा कम्युनिटी के लिए बहुत ब्रिटिशर्स के अगेंस्ट उन्होंने स्टैंड लिया था, ये हमें दिखता है. बिरसा मुंडा, these people. So in the Maharashtra, there are so many tribes also. Highlands and the Karnataka were home to the Kolis. Koli, we know in the coastal area, the Koli, they were the tribes. The Berets means the nomadic denotified tribe. Berets means the denotified tribe of the Maharashtra. They were sometimes various people they call as a Daket. The Daket जो थे, वैसे हम वहाँ पे बोला जाता था बेरट, they were the tribes also, and numerous others such as the Koli live in a many areas of Gujarat. Further south, there were a large tribal population of Koragas, Vetars, Marwars, and many others. Large tribes of the Bhil was spread across western and the central India. जो भील महाराष्ट्र में हमें दिखते हैं, वेस्टर्न महाराष्ट्र में हमें दिखते हैं, एंड सेंट्रल मीन्स मध्य प्रदेश में भी हमें ये भील जो है वो दिखते हैं. By the late 16th century, many of them had become a settled agriculture. 16th century में हमें ये लोग सेटल होते हुए दिखते हैं, because various Indian rulers were introduced new land for the cultivation. During the 16th century, let's take an example of the Chhatrapati Shivaji. During the Chhatrapati Shivaji's time, Shivaji and other contemporary rulers, they introduced new land for the cultivation. Why they introduced this new land for the cultivation? And here they say these tribes became settled as agriculture. Because of these kings or these rulers introduced new land for the agriculture, it gives assurance ऑफ अ स्पेसिफिक इनकम। उनको एक स्पेसिफिक इनकम मिलेगा, इसका एक थोड़ा सा अश्योरेंस उनको मिलेगा, क्योंकि जो सेंट्रल अथॉरिटी जो थी, जो नई जमीन वो इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे थे कल्टीवेशन के लिए, वो नई जमीन जिनको दी जा रही थी, वो जो ट्राइब्स थे, वो ट्राइब्स को टैक्सेशन पूरी तरह से माफ किया गया फॉर नेक्स्ट 7 ईयर। अगले 7 साल के लिए आप टैक्स नहीं भरोगे, आप नई लैंड जो है आप कल्टीवेट करोगे, उसमें से जो भी कुछ आएगा वो आप खुद के लिए रखोगे। और यही नहीं, तो इसके साथ यू इफ यू नीड एनी हेल्प फॉर द कल्टीवेशन, तो द गवर्नमेंट विल गिव यू दैट। मतलब जो भी कुछ आपको हेल्प चाहिए, तो पटेल कुलकर्णी ये जो ऑफिसर्स जो थे, was appointed by the various rulers during the medieval time, ये जो ऑफिसर्स जो थे, वो ऑफिसर इन लोगों को मदद करते थे कल्टीवेशन के लिए। उनको इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी दी जाती थी, उनको सीड्स दिए जाते थे, उनको जो भी मतलब जो भी औजार जो थे वो चाहिए वो दिए जाते थे। और विद द हेल्प ऑफ दैट, और इसके साथ ये फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट दिया जाता था, बट फॉर 7 ईयर्स ओनली। आपके 7 साल, 7वें साल के लिए, 7वें साल से आपको जो नॉर्मल लैंड है उसके इतना आपको टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा, ये उनको कहा। नॉर्मल लैंड जितनी है उतना ही पे आपको करना होगा, ये उनको कहा जाता था। जमींदार मेनी बिल्ड लैंड नेवरलेस रिमेन हंटर। जो बिल जो थे, they were the originally tribe, therefore they never settle, मतलब वो एग्रीकल्चर में ज्यादातर सेटल नहीं हुए, so they remain hunter and gatherer. The Gonds were found in a great numbers across the present day. Gonds, it's also tribal clan. States of the Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Andhra. The Gonds, majority of the Gond community are the Gond tribal peoples were in this state. छत्तीसगढ़, मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र एंड आंध्रा जो है वो हमें ज्यादा दिखते हैं। हाउ नोमैड्स एंड नोमैड पीपल लिव, तो वो कैसे रहते कैसे थे, इसके बारे में हमें यहाँ पे इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती है। नोमैडिक पैस्टोरियलिस्ट मूव लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस विद देयर एनिमल्स, लिव ऑन मिल्क एंड अदर प्रोडक्ट्स। ये जो मिल्क और जो पैस्टोरल प्रोडक्ट है, मतलब हंटर गैदरिंग जो भी कुछ आप कलेक्ट कर रहे हो, तो वो उसके ऊपर वो अपना लिवलीहुड आते थे। They exchange wool, ghee, etc. with settled agriculture, because they were the pastoral people. They were gathering so many things, and therefore they exchange wool, ghee with settled agriculture is for grain, clothes, utensils, and other products. Because they were the pastoral people, they were the hunter-gatherer people. They were not settled people. वो settled people नहीं थे, उसकी वजह से जो भी settled people जो थे, उनसे खेती करने वाले जो लोग हैं उनसे वो ग्रेन लेते थे, क्लोथ्स लेते थे, यूटेंसिल जो उनके लिए चाहिए थे, जो भी उनके वेपन्स और भी जो भी बर्तन वगैरह चाहिए थे वो लेते थे। अदर प्रोडक्ट्स भी जो थे वो सेटल कम्युनिटीज जो थे उनसे वो बार्टेनिंग सिस्टम से वो खरीदते थे। ब्रॉड एंड सोल्ड दीज गुड्स एज दे मूव फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर, ट्रांसपोर्टिंग देम ऑन देयर एनिमल्स। They were using for transportation. They were the hunter and gatherer, so therefore they domesticated some animals, horses or some oxes or some other animals, or dogs, donkeys, etc. They domesticated these animals and they used these animals for the transportation. They were carrying their belongings, whatever they have, on these animals, and they were traveling from one place to another place. So these kinds of the people were, it means these were the tribal people, the nomads. They were the nomads. They were not staying on one side. They were not staying. एक जगह पे वो नहीं रुकते थे. They continuously traveling from one place to another. So that. So there is one example of nomads. We have seen that example, but again, the Banjaras, the most important trader nomads, Karwa was called Tanda. Banjara, they call Tanda. It means the group of people live together. Tanda, what is mean by Tanda? They use the definition of that. The trader nomad, the Karwa. Karwa means the groups of the people. There are so many people, they live together and they call as a tanda. To that, Sultan Alauddin Khilji used the Banjaras to transport grain to the city market. So Alauddin Khilji used Banjaras. Banjaras, they were the nomad people and they were working. So Alauddin Khilji recognized their work, recognized their potential, and they used Banjara to transport grain to the city markets because Alauddin Khilji was having huge standing army. Alauddin Khilji was having one of the largest standing army during the medieval time, and to fulfill the demand of the food of this army, they used Banjaras to transport the grain from the city market, grain to the city market. Emperor Jahangir in his empire that the Banjaras carried grain on their bullocks from different areas and sold it in a town. So the modus operandi, how they use that thing, it means how they uh, trade. It was given by the Emperor Jahangir. Jahangir wrote in his memoir that Banjaras carried grain on their bullocks. It means they were using bulls, bullock carts, bulls from different areas and sold it in towns. So they were bringing from different areas and they were it means they were collecting that food from the different areas and they were selling that thing in town. Transport food transported food grain for the Mughal army during military campaign. Banjara also transported food grain because Mughals also having the very uh, huge standing army and therefore they need food and the Banjara also use मतलब बंजारा का जो यूज हमें यहाँ पे दिखता है वो लोगों को फूड जो है वो सप्लाई करने के लिए बंजारा का यूज हमें दिखता है फॉर द nomad tribe. So the Mughals army during the military campaign with a large army, there could be 1 lakh bullocks carrying grain. Pastoral tribes reared and sold animals such as the cattle and the horses to the prosperous. Means what kind of the goods they were selling? Banjaras were selling these kinds of the goods. Bullocks, they were having 1 lakh bullocks. 1 लाख से भी ज्यादा बैल उनके पास हमें दिखते हैं. Carrying grain, pastoral tribes reared and sold animals. They also sold animals such as the cattle and the horses and the prosperous to the prosperous people. जो लोग खरीदने के लिए तैयार है, prosperous people जो है, उनको ये चीजें वो बेचते थे. Different caste of the petty peddlers also travel from the villages to villages and also sold uh, war sold wares such as the ropes, reeds, straw matting, and coarse sack. So various things are there. Mendicants acted as a vendor merchant, where the caste of the entertainers who perform in a different towns and villages for their living. So there are so many people who use various things to. They were selling various things, and there are one. They say that there are caste of the entertainer who perform in a different towns and villages. They also use, entertain. They also entertain the people. Changing the society. How the society will change? This Banjaras. It means the tribal peoples was also there. The nomadic peoples also there, but they were having their own rules, as we know, because the other peoples were having the rules which was formed by the Brahmin. It was written by the Brahmin, and they were following the other. It means the common people were following the rules which was made by the Brahmin. But these people, nomad peoples and the tribal people, had their own rules which was made by themselves. So let's see that how the society will change after the Banjaras and the or the tribals and the what we say nomads. Let's see the new caste and hierarchies, how it was increased, how it was emerged in the society. Caste and hierarchies, it means unequal society. Emergence of unequal society are the hierarchy in the society. Emergence of hierarchy. Economy and the needs of the society grew. How? It means the needs of the people were increased, and as Along with that, economy and other things. It means the economy and the wealth also increase. The people with the new skills were required because as needs were increased, the new things also needed. The people's needs various things. So the requirement of the new and therefore the new skills were required to do these things. Smaller castes or the jatis emerged within Varna. As we know, there were four Varnas as per the Veda, but then after some caste and the जातिज were emerged. जैसे हमें दिखता है कि वर्णास जो थे वो ऋग्वेद में वर्णास जो थे after that some caste and jatis were emerged. Jatis means the various according to the religious things and according to their lifestyle and the professions the jatis were created or the caste were created within the varnas. The new caste appeared among the Brahmins. It means there were four Varnas. First one is the Brahmin, second one is the Kshatriya, third one is the Vaishya, and fourth one is the Shudra. So, in the first Varna, the Brahmin, new caste appeared. Brahmin Varna. Many tribes and the social groups were taken into the caste-based society and given the status of Jati. It means the emergence of the small caste in one Varna. It means the society became rigid now. When we were talking about the tribes and the um, this what we say tribes and the nomads, so the jatis was not there. ये हम जब nomads और tribes के बारे में बोल रहे थे तब वहाँ पे जाति और कुछ नहीं था, इक्वल पीपल्स हमें दिखते थे. बट जैसे जाति इमर्ज हो रही है, सोसाइटी कॉम्प्लेक्स सोसाइटी की तरफ बढ़ रही है. तो जाति specialized artisans, smiths, carpenters, and masons were recognized as a separate jatis by the Brahmins. Brahmins जो थे, they recognized others. जो लोग जो काम करते थे, उस काम के नाम पे उनकी जातियां बनने थी. They recognized as per the work of these people. They named that as a caste. उनकी कास्ट उनको बनाई गई. Justice rather than Varna became the basis of the organizing society. Society की एक basic जो need थी वो जाति बन गई. Among the Kshatriya, the another is the Kshatriya. First one is the Brahmin. Brahmin के अंदर जो भी जाति आती थी, Brahmins ने दूसरे जो कास्ट जो आते थे उनको नाम देना स्टार्ट किया और उसके बाद आता है क्षत्रिय. Let's see. Yeah. Among the Kshatriyas, new Rajput clans became powerful by 11th and 12th century. हमने पृथ्वीराज चौहान जो हमने देखा है 11th century जिसने मोहम्मद घुरी को हराया था. So he considered himself as a Kshatriya and the Rajput. Kshatriya and Rajput, they say that these two are the similar. ये एक ही कॉइन के दो साइड्स है, Kshatriya and Rajput. It means the Kshatriya themselves considered as a warrior. The Rajput clan became a powerful by the 11th and 12th centuries, belonged to different lineages such as Hunas, Chandela, Chalukyas, and others. These were the warriors. They themselves consider as a Kshatriya. Why they consider themselves as a Kshatriya? We prove that we are the warriors and we are belong from the warrior family, and therefore for the like legitimacy from the society, they themselves consider as the Kshatriya. They want to take a legitimacy. मतलब वो सोसाइटी में खुद को एक अलग दिखाना चाहते थे, उसकी वजह से उन्होंने खुद को क्षत्रिय बोल के नाम उन्होंने उनको खुद को क्षत्रिय कहा है. Many of these clans regarded as Rajput gradually older rulers, especially in the agricultural area. तो द क्षत्रिय हमें दिखते हैं, राजपूत क्षत्रिय खुद को राजपूत कहते, राजपूत खुद को क्षत्रिय कहते थे. A developed society was emerging. Rulers used their wealth to create powerful states. The rise of Rajput clans to the position of the rulers set an example for the tribal people to follow. It means अभी ये सिस्टम बदल गई, सोसाइटी सिस्टम were changed. Developed society was emerging because the various societies, various castes, various varnas were emerged. And then after, these varnas were contributed to them develop themselves. And they want to prove themselves as a warrior. They want to prove themselves. Brahmins, they want to prove themselves as a leading varna. Kshatriya want to prove themselves as a protector of this all. And as Vaishya, they prove themselves as the wealthiest people. And Shudras, they don't want to prove themselves because they were the least. It means they don't have any importance in the society. And therefore, they don't want to prove themselves. So these things was there. A developed society was emerging. Rulers used their wealth to create powerful states. Rise of Rajput clans to the position of rulers set an example tribal people to follow. The tribal people shall follow them because they themselves, Rajput themselves called as a king or the ruler, and they were having that much wealth because they were belong from the Kshatriya Varna, and Kshatriya was the ruler. Therefore, they were having that much wealth, they were having that much capacity to prove themselves. And these people, the tribals, were follows them. With the support of the Brahmins, many tribes became a the, because Brahmins says that you are not a Brahmin or Kshatriya or Vaishya, you are the tribe, you are the belong, you belong from the Shudra community, and therefore you are the lowest caste. And then after Brahmins converted or Brahmins renamed them or they merged into the caste system. Brahmins merged these people into the caste system. Okay, so the Brahmins, many tribes became part of the only the leading tribal families could join the ruling class. So it means the leading tribal family. Tribal families means those people were having the um, powers in their hands because they themselves consider as the rulers of that particular tribe. They themselves consider as the headman of that particular tribe. So these peoples were the leading tribal families. They call as the leading tribal families. They could join the ruling class. Large majority joined the lower jatis of caste and society. Many dominant tribes of Punjab, Sindh, and Northwest Frontier had adopted Islam quite early because these tribes were not having any identity, and therefore these Islamic ruler, when they came into contact with the ruler, and especially in Islamic ruler, with the contact of Islamic ruler, and during that time, this Islamic ruler converted these tribes into the Islam because they want to spread the Islam, and therefore these tribes were converted Islamism. Okay, we know the first person who came to India, first Islamic ruler, Muhammad bin Qasim, during 712 AD, he imposed jizya over Sindh region, and he came into contact with these tribal peoples, and they converted. These peoples were converted the tribe into the Islam during 712. Okay, so these things. Sindh, Punjab, Muhammad bin Qasim came to Sindh and he imposed jizya over there. And these people, these tribals came into contact with the Muhammad bin Qasim, and Qasim converted them into the Islam. So it's continued to reject the caste system, unequal society, or the unequal social order prescribed by the Orthodox Hinduism, not widely accepted in this area. Methods of the state closely related to the social change among tribal people. So these things were changed for the tribal people. Tribal peoples were the very well, they were knows all the things, and there are some examples of the tribal people. As we know, the Gonds and the Ahoms. There are two examples of the tribal Gonds and Ahom. So let's see the Gonds. Who are the Gonds? They were the tribal of Madhya Pradesh, and their living style. This is the you can take this example as a case study. This is a case study of the Gond tribe. Let's see how they were working and how they were living during that time. The Gond's vast forested region they call as the Gondwana in Maharashtra or country inhabited by Gond practiced shifting cultivation. They were used shifting cultivation. It means they introduced new land to the cultivation, and they used different kinds of the crops for the cultivation. The Gonds, they were the original inhabitants of the land. They called as the Gondwana. Tribes was further divided into much smaller clans. Gond, they were the tribal. They were divided into smaller clans. Each clan had its Raja or Rai. They call that the headman of that clan was the Raja or Rai. When the power of the Delhi Sultan was declining, a few large Gond kingdoms began to dominate the smaller Gond kingdoms. How they emerged? During the Delhi Sultanate, it was declined. During the decline time, or it was declined, a few large Gond kingdoms dominate the smaller Gond chiefs. So it was emerged during that time. When the decline, the Delhi Sultanate was declined, they became a independent chief. Okay. The Akbar Nama, the biography of the Akbar, a history of Akbar's regime mentioned the Gond kingdom of Garha Katanga. Garha Katanga, that 20,000 villages. In Akbarnama, it means the Akbarnama also mentioned about the Gond kingdom. They call it the Garha Katanga. It means the 70,000 जो लोग 70,000 जो villages है, they belong from the Garha Katanga. It means the Gond kingdom. It means they indicate towards the Gond kingdom during the medieval time. Administrative system of this kingdom became the Gond centralized administration. It means the king, the major or the head of the kingdom divided into the ghar. Each ghar controlled by the particular Gond clan. It means the kingdom, the Ghara Katanga, it means the kingdom or 70,000 villages, and it was divided into the ghar. The ghar means gold clan, they call it the ghar. Further divided into the 84 units village, they call it the Chaurasi. They call it the Chaurasi. Chaurasi was subdivided into the Barhuts, make up 12 villages. Barhut. Bar means 12. Barhuts, it means 12 villages. Each of the large states change the nature of the Gond society. That is the administration. There is no need to remember this thing, but just need to understand what they want to say. Their administration, it was centralized administration. It was divided into the ghars. The kingdom was divided into the ghars. And how many units of that? They were having 84 villages. They call it Chaurasi. And this 84 villages was subdivided into the 12 villages. Okay. And each emerged of the large state change the nature of the Gond society. It means it's divided into 84 and 12. Just need to remember this thing. Basically, equal society gradually got divided into the unequal social classes. The society, how it was lived, they lived in a society. It was divided into the social classes. The Gond society was divided into the social classes. It is the Brahmins receive a land grant from the Gond Raja. Brahmin itself were the priest, and they receive land grants from the various Gond kings. The king, they call as the Rajas of Ghar Katanga. Assume the title of Sangram Shah. The Gond king, name of that king was the Sangram Shah. His son Dalpat, who married Princess Durgavati, the daughter of Salbahan. Chandel Rajput, Raja Mohobat or Mohoba. Dalpat died early, and then after the Rani Durgavati was capable, she became a मीन्स उन्होंने वो जो किंग के डेथ के बाद उसकी जो भी on behalf of the king started ruling on behalf of her 5-year-old son Bir Narayan. Under her, the kingdom became even more changed in 1565. The Mughal forces under Asaf Khan attacked Ghar Katanga. It means the Mughals annexed this kingdom. A strong resistance was there, but it was put by the Rani Dudavati. She was defeated, preferred to die rather than surrender. Her son too died fight. It means the Gonds were the important tribes during the medieval time, and they fight against the British, sorry, Mughals, but they defeat. And then after this kingdom was uh, they defeated the Gond kingdom, and then after Mughal captured this Gond kingdom in the central India or the region of Chandrapur and the Chhattisgarh. Okay, the tribe, the Gond were there. Then the Gharkatanga, a rich state, earned much wealth by trapping and exporting elephants to other states. Gharkatanga, it means they were using elephants. They were the elephant lovers. When the Mughals defeated the Gonds, they captured a huge booty of the precious coins and elephants annexed part of the kingdom. they it means उन्होंने जब उनको डिफीट किया तो उनको कॉइन्स मिले बहुत ज्यादा मतलब सोना भी मिला है वहां पे एलिफेंट्स भी मिले हैं द किंगडम ग्रांटेड द रेस्ट ऑफ द चंद्रसेन and an uncle of Bir Narayan despite the fall of Katanga. Gond kingdom survived for some time. They became much weaker, later struggled unsuccessful against the stronger one, Bundelas and Maratha. The Gonds were also fought. They were struggled a lot. They fought battle against the Mughals. Again, they struggled against the Bundels and the Marathas. They survived in after battle. So the last tribe in our today's session is that Ahom tribe. What is mean by Ahom? Ahom means migrated to the Brahmaputra Valley from present day Myanmar in 13th century. Ahom, it means the migrated people that created a new state by suppressing the older political system of the Guyan or landlord. Guyans means they were against the landlords and they migrated towards the Brahmaputra Valley because of the landlord and they established their own kingdom. They call it as a home kingdom during the 16th century. During the 16th century, it was annexed the kingdom annexed the Chia in 1523 and of Khoch Hazo, these two people, and subjugated many other tribes, built a large state, and for this they used firearms as earlier. It means they established their kingdom. The homes were the migrated people, they were the against the landlords, and they established their kingdoms in the region of the Brahmaputra Valley. And they defeated other kingdoms, other um, tribes, their own large state. That's a home state. Nowadays, it is in a Assam region. Ahom it means Assam region. By 1660, they could even make high quality gunpowder and cannon. Ahom faced many invasions from the southwest, southwest region. From that region, वेरियस इन्वेजन साउथ वेस्ट के जो साउथ वेस्ट में जो लोग थे राजा थे उन्होंने उनको बहुत ज्यादा उनके ऊपर रेट्स डाली है बट दे नोज हाउ टू मेक अ गन पाउडर दैट इज द मोस्ट एडवांस थिंग अबाउट देम दे नोज technical things about the gunpowder and the cannon. In 1662, Mughals under Mir Jumla they attacked Mir Jumla Mughal attack on Ahom kingdom in 1662. Despite their brave defense, were defeated. Direct Mughal control over the region could not last long. It means that it was not last long, and then after the Ahom state dependent upon the forced labor because it was defeated, and the king of the Mughal king or Mughal empire emperor treated very bad. Ahom state dependent upon the forced labor. Those forced to work for the state were called pikes. Pike. The forced labor, they call it the pike. The census of the population taken, each village had to send a number of pikes by rotation. It means the forced labor or the forced bonded labor. It's like a bonded labor. So they call as a pike, and they were counting. It means the pikes were having a उनके कितने pikes जो है rotation. People from the heavily populated area shifted to places. They were having these things broken up by the first half. Administration became quite centralized. Served in the army during the war. It means they were the bonded. So therefore, Ahom clans thus broken up after that defeat. By the first half of 17th century, administration became quite centralized. All adult men. It means the all the youngsters. So in the army during the war, they were also engaged in a building irrigation system and public work. They also introduced some new methods of rice cultivation. Ahom, they introduced new method of rice cultivation in India. Ahom society it was divided into the clan or khela. They call it the khela clan or khel. Very few caste of artisans. They were having very few artisans. They don't know that artifact. So artisans in the Ahom areas came from the adjoining kingdom. It means they don't have their own artisans. The adjoining kingdom, from that adjoining kingdom, the artisans were came. A khel controlled several villages. Khel means the clans. They were controlling the several villages. The peasant was given land by his village community. The peasant of that particular village given land by his village community. Even the king could not take it away without the community's consent. That is the most important thing. King could not take it away, their land. King could not take it their land without the community's consent. So community is the very important thing in this Ahom kingdom. During the first half of 17th century, the influence of the Brahmins increased. Temple and the Brahmins granted land by the king. It means that till the 17th century there was no Brahmin in the Ahom kingdom, but when the 17th century emerged, so during that time the Brahmins also emerged in this Ahom kingdom, and before that the Ahom worship their own tribal gods. Therefore, they don't need any Brahmins because Brahmins are not worshipping any tribal gods. Brahmins were worshipping the Vedic gods. The tribal gods are different from the Vedic gods. So therefore, they don't need Brahmin till 17th century. But when the 17th century came, during that Brahmins were entered in the Ahom kingdom, and it became a. It means they were kings were granted them land in the region of Sib Singh was the leader of the Ahom kingdom. Sib Singh. Hinduism became the predominant religion. Sib Singh. Sib Singh was the leader of Ahom kingdom, 1714 to 1744. During this 30 years, Ahom kingdom did not completely give up their traditional belief after adopting Hinduism. Ahom laterly it became a Hindu. Earlier they were the tribal people, tribal or you could say they were the tribal people. Then after they adopted Hindu god, and then they became a Hindu people or the Hindu community. The society was very sophisticated. Poets and scholars were given land. It means the kings give them the land for the poets and the scholars. Theater encouraged. It means the theater activity, arts, and artists were there. Important work of the Sanskrit translated into the local language. Ahom, they translated Sanskrit things, Sanskrit text into the local language. It was their important in the literature. They translated Sanskrit text into the local languages. Then the historical works of these people, the Burunjis, were written. It was known as a Burunji. They written a Burunji. The text, the name of the text is a Burunji. The history of the Ahom. The first in the Ahom language, and then Assam. The Burunji was in Assami language. First, it is in Ahom language, and then after it was written in the Assami language. That's it for the Ahom kingdom and kings and the kingdoms of. So we are going to conclude this lecture over here. If you have any query or questions, we'll discuss over here. Otherwise, we'll stop here. Do you have any query or questions, Vaishnavi, Purva, and Sakshi? Yes, you are not audible. Am I audible? Do you have any query or question? Otherwise, we'll stop here. If you don't have any query or question, then we'll stop. In next lecture, we'll complete our new topic. Remaining means the chapter number 7. Yeah, Vaishnavi. You want to say anything? Okay, no problem. Let me know. Do you have any query or question? Then after we'll stop here. आपको कुछ क्वेश्चन है, क्वेरीज है? Okay, no. So that's okay. That's fine. So we are going to conclude our lecture over here. In next lecture, we'll start a new topic and we'll continue with the new chapter. Okay, we are going to conclude our lecture here. Okay.